evening, everyone. And today I would like to talk about idiosyncrasies. It's very familiar, isn't it? We all have our little something, a strange thing, we think about, sometimes we look around, we say, oh, these people, you're funny, and it's especially when I first, joined the monastery, and it used to usually drive me up the wall, because we all come, we have, our community, we have 7 nationalities, we have different conditioning, different culture, we are all just different, it's not that good or bad, right or wrong, It's just like sometimes things that is normal to me is not normal to you, Some things that is normal to you is not normal to me. And some things that is important to you is not important to me. What is important to me is not important to you, isn't it? And this is how then we started to judge, but we just been conditioned that way. You see, it's not that there is something wrong with the other person, but immediately, just because of the other person, don't do the way that we used to do, we think that our way is the best way. I know better, but we just been conditioned, we just different because we have the culture different, So that's why sometimes we think, oh, that person is a bit crazy, but we don't know where they're coming from, and we don't know the background. So sometimes when we get to know the person and we get to know the person's backgrounds, so you actually understand why the person behave in a certain way, because like we just been conditioned that way. It's just that not because of we are different. It's okay that we're different. So even if in the family, it's same brothers and sisters, we're all different and we all disagree with each other. So it's okay that we disagree with each other, isn't it? You don't have to try to make everybody exactly the same. So that's like, and it's just like today I like to talk about this because it's just like, also I can share with you also my own all these idiosyncrasies, like all this little something, we all have funny thing, and there's sometimes like when you start to understand where is it coming from, we have more compassion towards others. And it just reminds me of one of this is a true story, is that this lady that she's like she couldn't live without a headphone, so she just listen to headphone all the time wherever she go. Even she go to the bathroom, she has to wear her headphone. She have to listen to talks, she have to listen to music. She has to listen to something. She can't live without, she can't take her headphone out. Even go to the shower, she have headphone. She got the waterproof headphone. It's true story, is not, they show the photos, she have 300 headphones. And then her living room, everywhere, it's just like, you see some movie, they put out the gun, she put out her headphone, put out her headphone here, So she just couldn't live without headphone. And then it's really annoying, and because her daughter is about 10 years old. And then her daughter just felt that, that her mom just don't care for her. Like one time her daughter broke I think her leg, and just told her that, I think I broke my leg. And she said, oh yeah, okay. Like she's still with her headphone. Like she's all in, in that her own way with that headphone. So her daughter feels so hurt. She just feels that my mom just don't care for me, And to the extent that one day she went to the school to pick up her daughter, and she parked the car, and her daughter outside the school waiting for her, and then she parked her car, and then she turned around, oh, I forgot my headphone, and she went back. The daughter's there, and then she went back into the car to try to get her headphone, and then but I think she couldn't find her headphone, and she drove the car and buy a new one. By the time she come back, when the time 5 o'clock, and after 2.5 hours, she come and pick up her daughter. Like, it's so funny, why it's so strange, why somebody can't live without the headphones. Then apparently when they started to interview her, and then she said, when did you start to have this behavior, have to listen to headphone? He said, since after her father and her eldest daughter died, and they had a accident that is quite serious, and she was very seriously injured, and she lost her father and her eldest daughter. And since then, because it's so difficult for her to really to come out of that, and then actually by doing this, actually is to run away, to escape. Because for her, like she keep listening this, so she don't have to think about that, you know. It's a way of, you know, escape. It's a way to running away the pain in life that she couldn't cope with that. But of course it's unskillful. This is not a skillful way to do it, isn't it? Because it's dangerous also for her. When she drives also with the headphone. I mean, you can't hear outside, isn't it? You can't hear. And it's also affect the life, you know, her life with her relationship, also with her daughter. And this is all sorts of things that, you know why? Then picks up, when we understand that, we really have so much compassion, isn't it? We can understand, because it's lots of pain. And she has no other options. She doesn't know any other way to deal with her emotion. And maybe this is sometimes by accidents that, you know, when you listen to this and you take away from your pain, you know. Like for example, another, like some people, why they have this self-harm? Because the mental suffering is worse than the physical suffering. So when they harm themselves, it takes away that mental suffering, you know. Because the physical suffering, you know, they give them a relief. But because most people don't know how to deal with the pain, how to deal with the pain in a skillful way. Mostly, like, people get into all this. That's why this is the reason why people get into drugs, alcohol, and, you know, and all this addiction. But it's not only alcohol and drugs, you know, many other things, you know, that is a way to escape and to distract. And some people get into like shopping, you know, shopping as a way to cope with that pain in life, you know. Last time, a couple of years ago, when I was in Singapore, one of the supporters, one of the ladies, she looked after me, she told me her niece, you know, she whole wardrobes with lots of dress never worn before, still got the tag there. She just shop. She just want to buy. She just, you know, just wanted the distraction. She just want to, you know, not to look at it, not to face it, not to deal with the emotion. But this is not a skillful way, because when we keep running away, actually we are reinforcing that tendency. The more we do that, that is more ingrained. Because we are not facing it, we are not looking at it. Then we started off with all sorts of things. We start to blaming others, you know, because we just don't want to look at ourselves. We just don't want to deal with it because it's too painful. Then sometimes we want to make ourselves feel better, and then we start to blame others, isn't it? Oh, I feel this way because of so and so, because you make me feel that way, because you make me angry, you know. We keep looking outside. We keep thinking that, you know, outside, you know, people, you know, I don't have to responsible for it, and then someone else make me feel that way, you know, someone make me angry, but we not be able to look at our own, you know, this unresolved emotion and be suppressed for a long time. And sometimes that, you know, since we were young, you know, a lot of unresolved emotions is there, and keep building up and building up. And that's like, this is, lots of people find it's become an addiction. So addiction is not only like cigarette and alcohol. And this is the addiction. Like this lady, like putting this headphone, it's become an addiction because that one helped her to relieve her pain. So that's why she couldn't live without that, because she's so scared. She makes sure that all the headphones being charged, got battery, you know, everything being charged, you know. So everywhere, the bedroom everywhere, so that whenever this one no battery, she can pull out another one. Because of, to her, it's like she finds some place to a place to escape, to not to face, to not to look at her pain, because it's not easy. You lost your father. She lost her father and her eldest daughter, and it's very difficult for her to come out. And the same thing is very difficult for many people to come out from that. Then we started to think that, I feel this way because of this, because of that. And I remember, sometimes in the monastery also the same, when early days when I just ordained, sometimes I saw, sometimes I have a lot of self-pity, think that, oh, poor me, I have to put up with this person, I have to put up with that person, I have nowhere to run, Then actually when I turn around and I ask myself, actually, I think that I have to put up with others. Actually, others have to put up with me too. I have my own idiosyncrasy as well. People also think they can't stand me. Sometimes we think that we can't stand others, but we keep thinking that our problem is outside. We're not able to see, that what are we experiencing now? Just to look at it, just to allow that to come out, and this is how it's very common. We keep thinking that, it's outside. We not be able to see ourselves. We always think that our problem is outside. And actually, it reminds me of this, that it actually is a joke. These three ladies, there were three ladies, and they passed away and they reborn in heaven. So then St. Peter said, okay, now we have new rules. So now you have to practice mindfulness, you have to be mindful. And there are ducks all over the place. Make sure that you don't step on ducks. If you step on ducks, you'll be tied with the most ugly man in the world. So make sure that you be mindful. So of course, very quickly, the first day, first lady, she stepped on the ducks, and then St. Peter brought the man really ugly, very ugly, and then tied with her. And then the other two ladies said, oh, I better be more mindful. I don't want to tie with the most ugly man in the world. So then they try to be so mindful, they really make sure they don't step on the ducks. Of course, it's quite difficult to maintain that, isn't it? So then the second woman, step on the ducks, and then here come, and then St. Peter bring this man. This time, this man not only angry, is even stink, So then the third woman said, oh, I better really get my act together, make sure I don't step on ducks, So I'll be going to tie with this ugly man. So she really take her to toilet, she have to take 2 hours, and then once in the toilet, she have to make sure that she get everything out before she come out, and very slowly make sure that so mindful, not to step on ducks. So of course, no matter how mindful she was, she still stepped on the duck, and she was so angry and so upset with herself. She still scolding herself like, I'm stupid. You really silly, you stupid idiot. How come you do that? You're not mindful enough. You step on the duck, and she's really angry with herself. And then, surprisingly, St. Peter bring, this time, wow, the man is really good looking, very handsome, good looking, tall, really good looking. She was surprised, said, oh, I stepped on ducks. Why I've been tied with this very good looking and so handsome, this guy together. So she was so happy, but she couldn't get over her curiosity. Why she been tied? She's supposed to tie with an ugly man, So she was really, out of curiosity, she asked the man that tied with her. So why did you tie with me? So the man said, because I stepped on ducks. We always think there's other people, isn't it? We think, no, I can't put up with you, But we think the other people are so horrible, But we don't even look at ourselves. We don't know how horrible we are, isn't it? We always think the other people make us upset, This is how, we're not able to look at ourselves. It's just that the Buddha said, to conquer oneself is much more difficult. So actually our enemies is not out there, is with us. We are our biggest enemies, We try to, we just couldn't accept that. And then we always have an idea of who we are, who we think we are, And I remember, when I was early days in the monastic life, and when you come to monastery, you can't find much distraction like outside. Outside, you can easily pick up phone and call your friends, and shopping, whatever, go out to have a cup of tea. You can easily get distraction, But in the monastery, you really you can't. And then everything amplified. And then you just feel like, why I become so sensitive? Why I become like, I can't, like every single thing also really, really, really hit you, you get stirred up very easily, because you have to look at it, you have to face it, and then I start to notice all my behaviour, like for example, like because when I was a lay person, I used to be a perfectionist. I want everything really good, like I can't accept like if things that is not nice, everything have to be really perfect and nice. I remember the first time I broke the first vase, I really so upset with myself for so long in the monastery, because I make sure that I'm a good nun, I do everything perfect, that actually give yourself lots of suffering. But sometimes when you're out there, you don't see that it's a suffering until when you develop more, you have that mindfulness awareness, you realize that actually this is a lot of suffering that you carry with you, all this burden, Then I used to, like for example, like because that this is how I'm very good. I'm good at everything. I can cook. I can sew. I can arrange flowers. I'm really good at everything. Like perfect. I remember like sometimes like we have rotation. That some other people do the shrine or to arrange flowers, and I used to make me eyesore when someone arrange flowers not in a mirror image. When you have left and right, so if the leaf face this way, this one have to face that way. But some people that they face both sides like that. So I was sitting in the shrine there, I look at it, I just couldn't stand. I was thinking, I almost want to get up and just go and pull one and put it the other side, and I was sitting there, and I was really fighting with that. I know that if I'm doing that, I'm reinforcing my tendency. I know that it's no good for me, but it's very tempted, it's you that push, the drive to make you feel. I feel obsessed with that because not balanced, I like that kind of obsessive compulsive, disorder, just like we call it OCD, then I sitting there thinking about the flower for so long, whether I'm going to get up to go and to make it the way I want it to be. Then I just restrain myself. I said, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. So I restrain myself. I know that because on one hand, I do, I'm mindful enough, I have the clarity, I know where is it coming from. But sometimes because of these defilements, that they have the kind of energy, that just push you. They just keep telling you that little voice to do it. Then you have to really say no to the little voice. The little voice keep telling me to can arrange again for them. I know that I shouldn't have done that because it's not my duty. I don't touch others people thing, because we have each one our duties. So I was thinking maybe I just quietly do it, maybe she don't. I feel really obsessed with that, and this is how, because of with no distraction, I start to see all this behaviour, and then this, and I can really see that, this give you, actually it's lots of suffering, you hold on to that, and then I just restrain myself as I keep saying no. Then now slowly better. Like for example, I don't like people to touch my things. Like even move a little bit, I know I'm very meticulous, with things. And then and I remember at the beginning, someone wanted to wash my clothes, like some of the nuns. I prefer to wash myself, because when I hang it, I really put it very straight, very nice, and the pegs also same color, very system, all this, very particular, very fussy, So people want to take for me. I think I want to, but I learned to let go. I let go. I said, okay, whatever. Even people use all the rainbow color to pigs is fine, whatever color, And I learned to let go. Because I can really see that kind of behavior pattern. They say only when your mind is, calm down, when you have the clarity, you see yourself. You have to just look at yourself and just to really. That's why it's important that not only have the mindfulness, your mind have to have the strength, be able to say no to things, Like another things like, I remember like sometimes in lay life, you think that, I want to on diet, I want to lose weight. And then you always say tomorrow I eat first, they say, Then tomorrow, and then you keep not be able to say no, restrain yourself. They say something is important, we restrain us. Because the more we restrain, we strengthen our mind. Our mind becomes stronger, be able to say no. Because sometimes we do, deep down we know, we do have the clarity, we see that. But the kind of, like a force, keep pushing you to do it. The little ones, do it. Sometimes it's very difficult, it's not easy. They say sometimes like all this is, this addiction, even though you know that it's no good, but you can't help doing it, And this is all how this is how we develop to certain, habitual pattern, and we got addicted to that. And it's a way to running from things. We don't want to look at things. We don't want to face it because it's unpleasant. We don't like unpleasant feelings, and we've been conditioned that whenever unpleasant feelings, we run away. We don't want to face it and then when it's pleasant feeling, we want it to stay. And actually we create more suffering for ourselves because it's impossible. We can't, That's why the reason why that in the monastery I be able to stay with that whatever agitation, irritation I have because of. Before I came to the monastery, I remember the first time when I stay in a cave, The first night, I was absolutely horrified. I was terrified. I was so scared. Got lots of fear. I feel people coming towards me and standing there and looking at me. I don't even dare to open my eyes. I use the blanket and close my face and. And I share with people last Sunday because we're doing the sutta class about overcoming fear, and because I remember the suttas, the Buddha mentioned about like when you have this fear, so you remain that posture, because actually when you remain that posture is to you stay with it. Because we try to do this, do that, actually is to escape, isn't it? So that's why if you keep changing posture, is a way to escape, not to confront, not to really face that fear. But if you, because I was lying, so I remain lying, that posture. Then I was really with that fear, and that fear come to the maximum points, it's just subside, everything, So it's very unpleasant. It's very, very frightening, I was really so fearful, so scared, and my fear come to the maximum points, and it just subside. But after when it subside, I was incredibly peaceful, was so peaceful, and I realized that actually it's all my mind, all my, all the creation of my mind, like I hear those actually it's the rasas of the rasas of the leaves, the rustling of the leaves, but I hear like, because I interpret that it's someone walking towards me, and this is how I was so fearful. This is how sometimes we when whatever emotion come, especially unpleasant, we we started followed by thoughts, isn't it? We think about it, and then the more we think about it, we become more fearful, isn't it? Then actually we reinforce that because we are not really stay with that. Actually, when you stay with it, actually it's not going to stay there forever. It will subside. It go to certain points, it just go, But we try to push it away. We don't want to experience that. But actually it's okay. Even pleasant feeling is not going to stay. Unpleasant feelings is not going to stay. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, isn't it? Whether it's pleasant or unpleasant. It's not going to stay anyway. So actually that's really helped me to overcome that fear. And then, of course, doesn't mean that time I overcome fear, that means I don't have fear. You still have fear comes out, but you become because you have the experience, and you know that it's not going to stay. You know that you hit the maximum point. This is the directly face it. If we keep running away, how long we can running away? So one day we die. When we die, that time also we have to face that moment. Oh, I don't want to live, So it's good that we face it now. We practice, to deal with the fear now. So one day we really, when the time come, the days that at the end of our life we need to leave. You can't say, oh, wait a minute, let me. I'm not ready yet. That time whether you're ready or not ready, you have to leave everything behind. Nothing we can really hold on to. And it's good to just face it and not to run away. But this is how we keep running away from things. We don't want to look at it because it's just painful, especially mental suffering. It's very painful. But actually, if we understand, that's why it's very important that we have to start to understand our own mind. That understand this is all things are conditioned. It's just like the Buddha said, that what we think, what we are, we are what we think, the Buddha said. And all that we are arises with thoughts. And with our thoughts, we create our own world. So we keep, so we are not really in touch with the reality. We just, because we don't want to look at it. So we rather stay there, and maybe fantasize, and go on and on. Then we never wake up. It's always there. So this practice is that, we just bring our mind back to this present moment awareness. So when we eat, we just simply eat. But how many of us can really do that, just simply eat? Isn't it? When we eat, we think of something else, So when we walk, we also think of something else. So we don't really, it sounds easy, isn't it? It sounds very, actually the practice is very simple. But it's not that easy, isn't it? It sounds simple, You just because we add on lots of things. We put on the label with all the experience that we're experiencing in this moment. We put all the label that this is in there, and then we all have an idea, a concept of who we are. So whenever that we see something that is not, we think who we are, we cannot accept it. And we find it's just like, we just keep pushing away, we just want to look at it. That's why we like to find distraction. That's why sometimes some people think that meditation will make someone crazy. I said no, because of like, for example, if someone never done a retreat before, if we ask them to stay, in solitude for 3 months, they're really crazy, because of when you have no distraction, when it is peaceful, a lot of emotion come out. Especially if you are not strong enough, if your mind is not stable, it's not strong, you cannot handle. You really cannot handle, because it's really overwhelming. That's why you have to train the mind first, That's why usually I ask people, if you've never done a retreat, please you go to meditation class, you learn how to meditate first. Then slowly you do a weekend retreat, then you do a 9 days retreat, Then you slowly, then only you be able to do like 3 months in solitude. And sometimes people think that, oh, you meditate, you become gugu, you know. It's not the meditation, you know. It's just that because of when you don't have the stability, your mind is not stable, you don't have the strength. It's really because that it's just come out a lot, you know. That's why sometimes like someone not stable, we don't allow them to do solitude retreat for 3 months. Even, you know, we have to make sure that the person is okay, you know, and that they have to interview, have to know the mind state. Because sometimes when you're not careful, you really, you know, because it's not easy to look at that. That's why a lot of people, most people, they always use getting into this unskillful way to deal with the emotion. So, and actually it's not that we are wrong, it's not that it's wrong, it's not that we are bad to feel that, because we've been conditioned and we don't know, you know, sometimes since we were young, you know, and then we've been conditioned. And sometimes some people start to blame their parents, you know. Sometimes this is how, because we conditioned by our parents conditioned by their parents, isn't it? Our grandparents, isn't it? Our grandparents conditioned by their great grandparents, and no one fault, you know. So, you know, so that's why that we can understand. This is the most basic Buddhist teaching, that mind is a conditioned thing. Things happen according to multiple causes and conditions. It's not that we are bad, we're a terrible person, because we've been conditioned that way. Sometimes, like, you know, you used to struck me, like sometimes I see some people are really very smart, very talented. They have very low self-esteem and lack of confidence. They just don't think that they're good enough because they've been told that they're not good enough. So they've been conditioned that way. It's not their fault, you know. And I remember that one of our supporters, that she's from Singapore, she told me one of her friends in Singapore, you know, they said that they have the business that they have those courses, you know, to teach people how to make Milo, how to cook instant noodles. She said, very good business, you know, her friend got all these courses, you know, because, you know how people just, the children like a studying machine, you know. You don't have to do anything. All you need to do is study and study and study and get all the results, you know. And some of them don't know how to do anything. Really don't even know how to. I know one of my friends that I know a long time ago. That time we were the helpers with Mahinda retreat, you know, in Malaysia. So we were there helping, you know. So she don't even know whether the water is boiled. And she is someone that she's a successful career woman. She used to fly in, fly out, you know, China. But she really, because at home, you know, I don't know here, like in especially in Malaysia, Chinese, you know, the Chinese, and I think Singapore and Hong Kong also, they really, study is important. All you need to do, you don't have to do anything. All you do is just study. So it's like a study machine, you know. So basically, they don't know how to look after themselves. You know, they don't even know. She asked me, I don't know whether it's boy or not. I said, how come you don't know whether it's boy? I said, at home, how do you deal with that? He said, at home. She said, my kettle is got whistle. When it's boy, it's whistling. But this one no whistle, I don't know, she said. And then another lady, and then this lady told me, one of her friends, young girls, first time inviting her boyfriend back to have dinner. She wanted to cook for her boyfriend, but she said she doesn't know how to cook rice. And she called this my supporters, said how to cook rice. So my friend gave her the instruction. Okay, the rice, you wash the rice and you put water and you put in the cooker, you know, rice cooker, you cook it. And then she called this our supporters, you know, what's happened to that? Because a lot of bubbles coming up, you know, from the rice cooker. So then this lady said, so how did you cook it? She used detergent to wash the rice. Because she said wash. She said, and then she said, I said you should have tell her rinse, you know. You said wash. So wash, detergent and wash, you know. And then we think that it's common sense, isn't it? But sometimes really, they say sometimes we just say, common sense, no need to say, you think it's common sense. Sometimes you say, so clear, can't see, you know. People just don't know. It's really don't know. They've never been told. They really don't know how to do it. Like to us, we think they're so simple, it's common sense things, but there are people really don't know, you know. They say this is important that we really start to. This is whole path of practice actually about understanding oneself, to really look into oneself, to understand. Because the more we understand ourselves, the more we can understand others. If we don't understand ourselves, we don't understand others. And actually we have more, the more we understand ourselves, it's naturally we have compassion and kindness towards others. Compassion is not about, oh, poor thing, I pity you, you know. It's not. It's that about understanding the suffering of others, why they behave in a certain way, you know. They say it's important that we understand ourselves. And also, who we associate with also is important, because sometimes when we associate with someone that have same defilements, actually we are reinforce each other defilements, you know. And we think that it's okay, we are all right. We don't see that, you know. That's why in one of the suttas, one of the suttas that when Ananda told the Buddha, he said, have a good friend, you know, associate with someone, you know, a companion in the holy life, a good companion in the holy life is half of the monastic life. The Buddha said no. It's not only to monastic, I mean to lay people who you associate with is important. Sometimes you keep reinforce the same defilements without knowing, you know, and then you be in there. You know, this also remind me that just recently there was a news that I read, that this young girl, she's only about 18 when she was caught. She was caught because of she was into this prostitution. You know, she was doing this, and then apparently she ran away from the home when she was about 16 and very young, and she's very pretty, and because of sometimes they don't have happiness in the family, and when she go out, someone very nice to him, nice to her, and her boyfriend said that, oh, we need to have our own family, that we need money, so to ask her to do this, and then for me, like, you know, she's been working like for 2 years, you know, so all the money go to the boyfriend. And the police found out, according to all the records, actually she earned over 2 years about 2 million. But in her bank account, she have only 90,000. But all the money gone to the boyfriend. So the first reaction was like, well, because some people so stupid that, you know, to listen to the boyfriend. But then when I ask myself, if I'm like her age, you know, if someone keep telling you things that brainwash you, isn't it? And then you will believe. You know, that, oh yeah, I be happy, you know, he will, you know, will be, you know, happy ever after I got enough money, I earn enough, you know. You have this, you know, and then you just, because this is how you've been conditioned, brainwashed, you know. From young, you keep telling them, you know, and we believe that, and then we think we are, you know, this is how we've been conditioned. So they said to recondition, you know, is not easy, but can be done, it's possible to not to repeat that. That's why it's become more and more ingrained. If we keep reinforce that tendency, it's become more and more ingrained. Like they said, if we don't understand how the minds work, and then the first response we think that, oh, really silly, stupid. How come some people believe this? You know, why so silly? But you know, sometimes being brainwashed. It's just like all of you come here also, Ajahn Brahm, myself, we are brainwashing you too, you know. But we brainwash you in a wholesome way, a good way. We ask you to practice kindness, being a virtuous person, you know, because that is actually is not good or bad. It's not right or wrong. It's just that when we commit unwholesome, unskillful we have unskillful, unwholesome behavior that lead us to suffering. So that's why when what we do, if we have this, we are a virtuous person, and when we do something that is wholesome and that lead us to happiness and freedom, that's all. It's not good or bad, right or wrong. So that's why we just condition in the way that to lead us to free of suffering. So we have to change our usual way of thinking, our mental habitual pattern. So then we don't go back the same way. We have to recondition ourselves. So that's why we really have to look into ourselves and investigate, to look at why we suffer now. Where is it coming from? If we want to have a different result, so we don't keep doing the same thing, isn't it? We don't expect that we have a different result by keep doing the same thing. It's not going to be different. We keep doing the same thing, we expect we have different result. We think that just our wishful thinking, we just hope that hopefully our suffering will go away. If we think that, we think long enough, just our wishful thinking, no. We are the one who are responsible for our own happiness. It's not others. So that's why we have to understand, try to look into ourselves and understand why we suffer now. Look at the cause, to understand. Sometimes people try to solve problem, but without understanding the problem. The first thing, you have to understand the problem first. If you don't understand and you think that you're going to solve it, you can never solve any problem. So that's why just have to really, develop the clarity and just really look into ourselves and investigate, and ultimately that we are our own good friends. So because at the end of our life, no one is going to hold our hand and leave this world with us. We ourselves. So we be our own good friends. So not expecting our situation will change, our suffering will go by just wishing that it's going to go away. No, it's not going to go away. So we have to look at it. We have to investigate what causes us this suffering. So and not to expect that. And sometimes people get into all this, doing all this, rites and ritual. They think that, maybe I can pray the Buddha enough, or I go to the temple, pray enough, then my bad karma all gone. It doesn't work like that. It's not going to help you, It's not going to change. If you want, to have different results, we have to change ourselves. We have to look into ourselves. So, okay, before I end this tonight talk, so I just remind me one of the jokes. So the last joke that I'm going to tell you. So there was a family, the father and the mother and the son. They live in a very removed place. They never been out to the city. The first time they come out, they went to the city. They go to the mall, a shopping center. And the first time, of course, to them is something is really new. They've never been, first time, from removed place to come to the city. And then from the first floor, they went up to the second floor. And everything to them is really amazing. They've never seen that. And then suddenly, the husband, the father, was attracted to the wall, because he saw the wall, there is a door open and close and open and close. And then he saw one old lady, very really old, frail, walk into the lift, and then close. He saw go in there and close. Then this old lady go down from third floor, second, and to the ground, to the first floor. Then open the lift, and she walked out, and there come a beautiful, lady, very sexy, very beautiful, go into the lift. And then he's go first floor, second floor, third floor, and then open the lift. And then this man, he saw, immediately the moment he saw this lady, he said, and turn around, ask the son, where's your mom? Go and get your mom. So we think that is a magic. Then we can change our life just like that. This is how we all have that, isn't it? We just, all this wishful thinking. So, so tonight talks about, thank you for listening. Tonight's talk is about idiosyncrasies. Okay, thank you for listening. Any questions or comments? So Tracy from Canada, what do we do when we notice someone else isn't compassionate or understanding and so is pointing out another person's idiosyncrasies and making fun and berating them? They say sometimes we cannot control others people, but we can always control ourselves because we don't have to be responsible for someone's action, But when we do something unwholesome, we have to be responsible for our own action. That's why it's very important that if someone being unkind to us, make sure that we don't do that. So it's important. If even someone, no matter how terrible the person may be, the person being very nasty to us, saying terrible things to us, but we make sure that we don't do that to the other person because anyway, the person will be responsible for their own action. But if we do that, we have to be responsible for our own action. So any more questions or comments for any one of you here? Yes.
The passion in love.
Yes.
You love your family.
Mm-hmm.
You love your boyfriend or girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives you the rights. Love is love.
Yes. Very good. So, any more questions or comments? More questions or comments? Any more? There's one there. So,
Thank you, Sister. You spoke about running away from our suffering in the different ways that we do it. Are there certain wholesome ways to run away from our suffering?
Yes. The best way is to really stay with that feelings. That's why sometimes it's good that if you know that you feel, this feeling is unpleasant, sometimes you can find a peaceful place, just to sit with that feelings, just to feel how is it feel like. Just because we don't like it because it's unpleasant. That's why it's important that in daily life you have to develop your mental strength, develop your awareness, your mindfulness, and also to make your mind and peaceful and calm. That is very important because I know sometimes that we have like this skillful means that you reflect on this, you reflect on that, but because with that also is thinking. Sometimes when you're not careful, the reflection become like thinking, you get sucked in again, So that's why really to overcome that is to really face it. Stay with that. And when the first time you experience that, when you overcome it, you slowly you get better. This is how my experience. Like the first time is really, really unpleasant, but and then after that slowly, and then I become like you become more. When your awareness become more and more. When you develop that and you strengthen your mindfulness and awareness, actually you can pick up very quickly even. Sometimes you can, they say it's very, very good, like some of the way that you can, if you find that very difficult to stay with that, actually you just place your attention onto your body. So how is it feel like? Is it there is a lot of tension in my body? Is a lot of tightness there? So because when we pay attention on our feelings and sensation, then we don't stuck into the thinking process. Because once we suck in there, then, we reinforce and we create more suffering for ourselves, And all this is just all the proliferation, Might be this, might be that, and then we become more fearful. Sometimes we become like fear of the fear. So is any, even if panicking attack or whatever, you just stay. And just to pay attention how you feel. Feel your body, how your body feel like. Usually when you have that, your body feels very tight. You tense up. You feel the tightness that, And actually that's also help you to develop that mindfulness. We have someone have this, we have someone like, this person been talking to me for a while that he got this panicking attack anxieties. And then, so I told him that, whenever you have this, you just have a deep breath, and then just feel how you feel like that moment, how your body, how your stomach. So rather than, don't follow the thoughts. And after 6 months, he told me that he getting quite good. Even now that the attack come, he be able to really to not to follow that. He be able to go, because he been doing that. Because actually it's a form of meditation when you that feelings and sensation like become your object. You just focus on that. Because rather than, go into the thinking, go into the thoughts, just like the Buddha said, then we started to create something out of it, out of nothing. Does that answer your questions? It makes sense here? Yeah. Any more questions or comments? This one.
Thanks for the talk. You mentioned that perfectionism, it's a little bit of a suffering as well. I kind of agree with that, but if, my wife, she's a perfectionist, and it's okay with household tasks, but she suffers a lot at her work when she doesn't perform the way she expected. How can I help her to overcome the suffering, since this is almost like on her profession is almost like a good skill, let's say.
Because this one, unless she can see it herself, just like me, like before that, I don't see that, because to me it's something normal, in the world. That what's wrong with that? Doing perfect, to be someone perfect, nothing wrong. But until when I started, they said the only way that when she developed the peace and the calm, and she really see herself, you can't tell someone, the person have to really be able to see themselves. Like for me, only I realized it when I started to practice, when my mind become peaceful, and I realized that. But before that, I don't see that, and I don't think that is a problem. Do you know what I mean? I don't see that lead me to suffering, because sometimes this suffering is a more refined suffering, and sometimes we don't think that is a suffering. But as we practice, as our mind become we have more clarity and become more refined, so we can pick up we can become more aware of that, So you can just slowly influence her, to come to a meditation class, to practice, and don't try to convert her, but but actually it's very important that how actually you can influence her when you are peaceful and calm. Actually, this is the best gift that you can give to her. That's why I keep telling people, like, you don't try to convert, and then, you just practice yourself through your own behavior, that when you're a peaceful and calm person, she can feel that. And then she started to get interested. What do you do? Do you meditate? This is how, But don't try, because the more you try, she will run away, just by by being, it's just like you practice yourself actually, that you being a peaceful and calm person, happy person itself actually is a teaching. That is the best teaching that we can offer. That is teaching by example. We can tell people everything, Like I remember my sister-in-law, she's a beautician and she sell all these, products, So she always choose the girls that very nice complexion, because it's not convincing, isn't it? If someone not happy and then you try to tell other people how to be happy, who believe you, isn't it? So that's like you have to, practice yourself and then really, influence her through your own, behavior, and with your being a peaceful and calm person, and she can feel the energy. And this is only slowly, then, she can understand and she can see that. Is it make sense to you? Does that answer your question?
Definitely does. Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Any more questions or comments? Okay. I think let's see, we can end this tonight's talk.